Welcome back to our event today. Next company is MapsPeople. We are joined by CEO Morten Brøgger and CFO Christian Læsø. But I think I will leave the word over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. So today we're just going to talk a little bit about what we do, how we do it, and then take everyone through like the latest result and talk a little bit about what are the key SaaS metrics in our mindset for the period ahead. But in order to explain what we do, we would actually like to start with a small video. What I hope you saw a little bit in the video here is that we work with smart buildings. We map the inside world, and we help making these buildings smarter. But what's really, really important to understand is that MapsPeople is actually not an end user product. Right? We don't make a product that is used by the end users directly. We are a platform. It's a platform that gets injected into other smart building applications and solutions, and thereby makes them more for the end user. I would like a little bit like Intel, Nvidia. They make chips, but no one's really using the chip. They use a computer that is in front of it, right? And that's also how our indoor maps are being used. They are predominantly being used by other companies' smart building applications that needs a visualization layer. It's a fairly complicated one where we can geo-reference it, so we can navigate from inside out seamless. And there's a lot of different layers, so you can make them look really good. And why does smart building applications actually needs this visualization layer? It's fundamentally because seeing helps understanding quickly for the ones who are using it, whether it's the ones administrating the business or whether the ones using the business. And the whole visualization drives much faster and much better decisions on how can you optimize, the workplace experience, the utilizations of the building, the shopper's experience of grocery shoppings and other things, right? So this is fundamentally, to a large extent, what our platform does. It's an indoor map that is in a smart building application that helps visualize and thereby enhance the end user experience of those application users, right? And there is a very long list of problems that we help with. The whole visualization, we can help with wayfinding if these are very large and complex structures, and we can connect outside wayfinding with inside wayfinding. You can search and find things and then be navigated to it. You can manage your map. So if you're changing the buildings, which people often do, we'll speak about that a little bit later, you can do that as well. And there's a set of data visualization, not just where do I book my next desk, but you can actually see where in the office or where in the supermarket or where in the shopping mall or where at the hospital are people actually spending their time. So it gives you an experience about what is being used and what is not being used. What do we need to do better? What do we need to do less of? And thereby you can optimize the utilization and the spend you have on your different buildings. So we strive to have in this process where we are a platform that goes into other companies' smart building applications. We strive to have the best market position on a lot of different things here. One of them is if we are a map here, we need to be the best looking map that is out there. Because if the smart building application is choosing from different vendors, clearly they would like to have the one that looks the best. And for the smart building application provider, that's important because that creates a higher user adoption. which then drives a better customer retention, churn reduction for that one, and they have a chance to basically sell other services and increase their win rates as well. The second part that we strive to be really better at is how our product scales. And that is, how can we, on behalf of one of our partners, build a new map extremely quickly? And who doesn't want something that they bought right away? No one really wants to wait a month or 2 months or 3 months, right? It helps our partners to get to a much faster order to cash. It helps them to sell and grow faster because we're scalable for them as well. And that also helps their win rates going forward and at a very competitive cost price, right? So they become more competitive in their pricing as well. So being able of creating these maps very, very fast. And we built a technology where we can do this. We use machine learning. It's transitioning into AI. You know, the more machine learning algorithms you have, the closer it gets to AI. We have tools, experience, and dedicated team to fundamentally do this. So when one of our partners win a new end customer, we can provide that map pretty quickly. And the last thing, which is actually super important, is we can actually deliver a fast, unlimited updates of these indoor maps. And it may sound a little bit boring and it may sound a little bit irrelevant, but it's actually one of the most relevant in the life cycle of this one. Because the indoor world that we work in and shop in and do whatever it is, it changes all the time. And if these changes are not reflected in the map, in the application you're using, it literally deteriorates the user experience, right? So by having a system where we're using our AI technology to offer that they can have unlimited maps as much as they can, and we can do it extremely efficient and quickly and scalable, it is a core differentiator for us, because it's a big hassle and a big pain we take away from both end customers and the partners we have of these smart buildings. And I spoke a lot about partners. And the other thing that to us scales extremely well is our go-to-market model, which is partners first. We do have a lot of large enterprises as direct customers. They are normally characterized with, they are so big that they develop their own application. But there's a whole market, and this is both going up towards the very large enterprises and down into the SMEs, which want some of these smart building applications. And they are going to different providers who develops and market these smart building applications. And they are our core customers. They are our partners first, right? And what's really important here is to understand how this scales, and it's an underlying part of our business. It's difficult, but it's working. I'll get back to that later. But you have MapsPeople, and then you have a long list of smart building application providers that are our partners. And what I try to visualize in visualization on the lower part of this slide is that each of these smart building providers has a long list of sales representatives who sell to their end customers that we see here. And every time they sell one of those smart building applications, they will need a map from MapsPeople as well. So this is a great scalable model as well. And this is what we are continuing to do. And this is where we are focusing our marketing and our go-to-market effort, is to attract new smart building partners where we can be the platform, the indoor mapping platform in their application. And how do we grow them going forward? And that is transitioning into this one, because this is a very large, big global market which has a lot of growth. The left-hand side is a Gartner report showing that from 2021 to 2030, we are in a market that grows on an average of 45% on an annual basis, going from just below $2 billion in 21 to around $55 billion in 2030. So it's a huge market, and it's always helpful to be in a market that is growing at these rates, right? And this is what we're doing. But such a big market, a small company from Denmark with 100 employees naturally cannot serve every single solution that is out there in the market. And this is why this partner first that I spoke about on the previous page is super important for us, because it allows us to serve multiple verticals and multiple use cases below this one that fundamentally accelerate a very scalable and profitable growth. And the verticals we serve today is corporate office. It's getting a new name. It's getting employee engagement, employee excitement, or workplace engagement. How to get people back into the office, how to make them happy and more productive when they're at the office, how to book a desk, how to book a meeting room, how to book a parking slot, so forth. We're getting quite a bit of traction in the healthcare, so really hospitals, which is both for the staff, but it's actually also for the people that are in the hospital or visiting people at the hospital as well. Stadiums has always been good, and we keep adding and mapping new stadiums every quarter, I would say. Logistics is a new vertical for us that is slowly starting to come up. This is fundamentally how do you connect the outside world with the inside world. Imagine the shopping mall, like huge American shopping mall, where the delivery people need to basically decide where should I park and what is the optimal route within the shopping mall to basically pick up packages and deliver packages. Public safety, but actually also physical security in large office buildings as well is becoming a thing. You can start tracking, you can start recording things, you can start seeing if people are doing stuff that they're not supposed to do, which is of course a clear advantage. Airports, hospitality, hotels, retail, even residential living. We closed a big deal in Q1, which we sent out a press release on for residential living, and other large one-off sports events like golf, festivals even goes into this one. So there's a lot of use cases and a lot of verticals that we're serving today, which I'm sure most of you can understand, are global and they're expanding and they're digitizing their business, and we can help with that. The thing that is driving a lot of growth for the past couple of years and today still is this employee or workplace engagement. The whole future of work has been driving how we engage with our workplace, how we book a desk, and how we do a lot of other things at the office. Security is becoming more and more important in the world we're living in. And how do you actually make sure that you do this in an extremely smart way that gives you not all the necessary tracking of what Christian or Morten do, but is someone at the wrong place? Has everyone left the building when they're supposed to do that as well? There's a lot of carbon reduction things going in. How do we optimize the way our energy uses, or how our building uses energy and power today? And how can we reduce that by being much smarter? A lot of sensors are being put into place as well. And these sensors need to display what they are measuring on an indoor map that allows a much faster decision process as well. You can optimize the uses of your real estate, which meeting rooms are not being used, which buildings are not being used, which floors are not being used. Do we have too many square meters or do we have too little? Do we have too many large meeting rooms and too few small ones? All that stuff you can learn from these applications that is driving the demand through our partners into us. Healthcare being more efficient in how we work and handle patients and visitors at hospitals. Asset tracking, where is the closest available X-ray machine? Even people tracking, that is very linked into the security. And then, of course, these hardware prices on all these sensors that is enabling us to do all this stuff is coming down pretty quickly. So that is allowing us to make the buildings much smarter. That helps our partners and thereby it helps us. I think I spoke a lot about this one, but this is something we just launched. It's fundamentally how can we produce a new indoor map based on, for instance, a CAD drawing of a building, or how can we update an existing map extremely quickly? And this is where we built this machine learning, which we're now putting in all the different pieces into what we call the MapsPeople AI family. It can detect objects, it can automatically update routes. If someone moves a desk where you're supposed to walk, then you cannot walk through the desk, then the route has to do around it. The system can detect that. It detects doors, it replaces objects, it builds walls, and it basically updates the floor plans in the rooms, right? And the cool thing is that we've mapped more than 25,000 buildings, and we have actually very progressed in training this machine learning algorithm, this AI on all these existing buildings. So it gets more and more efficient going forward. And that is also why we can actually be fairly scalable in our business going forward. I think we're planning to more or less double the size of our business with the same number of resources we have here. And these are the kind of things in our technology that allows this. And also this go-to-market through our partners is very scalable. So just to go through the last results that we have, some of you who follow us may see this one. I believe the presentation is available afterwards. I don't want to read all the nitty-gritty details, but the top line is Q1 compared to Q1 last year. And the total annual recurring revenue for us, which is one of our core SaaS metrics, grew 52%, and you can see that it's a good spike compared to the previous years. Our core product, which is this Maps and Doors that I've been speaking to from the beginning, actually almost doubled. It grew 93% over Q1 last year, and clearly you can start seeing that in our recognized revenue, which grew 65% compared to the first quarter of 2023. And these growth element combined with the efforts that we conducted last year of right-sizing the company and reducing our costs is now seen in our EBITDA, which we improved with 49%. So it's pointing in the absolute right direction. I can just very quickly go through this on like numbers. People like graph, people like numbers. But here clearly you can see Q1 compared to this year compared to Q1 last year. And you can see the revenue has taken a pretty good jump upwards, which is basically due to landing new orders, growing our partners, and the ARR, annual recurring revenue, going up. You can see that our other costs and our staff costs has been reduced. We put a lot of effort into right-sizing the company, and you can see this in the results here. And you can see those improvements on the EBITDA. And I would even say the EBITDA is even like a little bit better improved, because you can see that last year we capitalized own work for 3 million in Q1 of 23, and we only capitalized 1 million in Q1 24. So that actually puts another underlying 2 million Danish kroner improvement on the EBITDA. Now, clearly our next financial objective is to be cash flow positive. And that's the thing that comes first, because the vast majority of our customers pays us 12 months, some of them even longer periods upfront. So the first indicator for us is that we become cash flow positive, and this is what we're striving to do, right? And in order to do that, our cost, as we said, we right-sized it. It's relatively fixed for us. So the core objective in order to get cash flow positive, but later on also EBITDA positive, which comes after, because we get cash before we can recognize the revenue. There are 3 elements that we focus on. The core objective for both the rest of this year, but in all likelihood also for 25, is to deliver top-line growth. And top-line growth comes from new annual recurring revenues. It can come from signing new customers or new partners that will pay for the service. Or it can come from existing customers or mainly existing partners that buys more. That's the second part, net revenue retention rate, right? That becomes one of the most important things. And since we have this partner go-to-market strategy, this is actually very important for us, and we want and should see our net retention rate be above benchmark averages in the industry. And if you heard us speak about that, that's because it's so important for us, because that indicates that our partner-first strategy is working. And then the last part is really our customer acquisition cost, the payback ratio we have on that. That's very important to us, that we deliver a profitable growth and it's within an acceptable frame. So let's just very quickly go through this before we jump into questions. I spoke about the improvements we made in 23 on our annual recurring revenue. And you can see the dark purple one is the lower range of our guidance for this year, and the light purple one is the higher range. So you'll see there's still a very nice projection of growth coming in here. We are an enterprise SaaS software business. A lot of that growth, because we have a lot of renewal in Q4 and a lot of enterprises make decisions in Q4, a lot of that growth will come in Q4. But this is how we're delivering it. You see that we did a pretty decent job in 23, and we are aiming to repeat that in 24. So this is really important for us, because when we sign new contracts and the license are being put in use, then it becomes cash, and then later it becomes revenue, and then it becomes EBITDA. Net retention rate, as I said, is important. The partner first strategy needs to be proven. Is our partner selling more and more? And it is going pretty decently. We are running on 111% for the last couple of quarters against an industry benchmark of 105. But now I hope you understand better why this is important. It is to prove that the partner strategy is working. And the last one is our customer acquisition cost payback period. This is how much money are we spending on sales and marketing to attract a new customer or a new partner. And we said we want to make sure that the sales and marketing investment is paid back in between 12 and 18 months. It was a pretty high back in late 22 and early 23. Sorry about that. But you can see in the past 3 quarters, we've been in the range that we wanted to be in, and even in the lower range. And it tells us that when we go cash flow positive, there will be the opportunity to invest a little bit more aggressive in more growth out here. But we're managing our customer acquisition costs in a really good way. Michael, that was me speed talking through all this stuff.
Perfect.
Because I know I'm like one of the last.
Let's jump into some questions. How are the current market condition and competition? Maybe the market condition, because we heard from one of the first investors that was here that in their study, it seemed that there was prolonged decision process and so on. That was also dragging into 24. Are you focused on smart building and that driver making you avoid that, or is it also what you see by your customers?
We see some of that in our customers. I think also when we speak to other enterprise software, I think we saw a Q1 that was a little bit slower than we anticipated. We saw that demand generation was harder. We saw that prices, the cost of generating new leads and new opportunities went up. And we've worked a lot on reversing this one, and it looks like we're getting back on track. So it was a little bit slower in Q1. It looks like it's dragging a little bit into Q2, but Q2 for us will be better than Q1. But none of it has fundamentally made us change the way we see the company grow this year.
Perfect. How do you utilize data from smart building? Does it give you any AI opportunity, or is it your partner who owns that data? Can you create some product that you can upsell on? You use AI to, in your own internal efficiency and machine, but is there any potential way all this data can also come back to you and you can actually create some products that you can sell to your partners?
At the moment, the answer is yes and no. You can do everything with data, right? We've decided it's not where we want to be right now. And the rationale for that is the data is being collected by an application. That application is the partner. Then the partner needs to export that data to us. And a lot of the data that we're talking about is like touching into the privacy area of GDPR, CCPA, and all this other stuff, right? And then you need to basically be able to handle that. That is also something that can be managed. But to do that for a lot of different applications is I would call it like a Star Wars project as well. So right now, we are looking at it. We are following it very closely. We are being better on how to handle the data from our side. But it's not something that we are currently contemplating putting into a product because of the complexity, because of the volume, because of like the value chain, and because of the data privacy. It's just faster for us to grow down the trajectory and the mainstream platform that we're on right now.
Perfect. And then
but never say never, Michael.
No. And then the last question: you have used M&A strategy actually to go into this, where you talked about it, the big shopping malls. Could you think about using M&A again to get technology further or get some customers?
Yes, I think we stated before that we are how do you call it, opportunistic looking, right? If someone crosses our path, we'll take a serious look at it. And clearly, it's a new industry. It's very fragmented. Smaller consolidations where you only need one platform. You don't need two CFOs like Christian. You need only one, and you can scale it. Is an opportunity when it's what I call like very similar. But clearly, there's also the opportunity of acquiring technology that adds new value-added services on top, right? The first thing is like really a cost synergy business case behind it. And the second one, where you're buying a new functionality you can sell to existing customers and partners, is more like revenue synergies. The ones that would be most attractive to us is probably the first one that generates like scalable growth on top of our platform with high cost efficiency and synergies related to it.
Perfect. I will let you off the hook now. We have run out of time.